Hope Channel, changing lives.
Hi, once again, good evening. Welcome to the program Wounds of the Heart. Yes, you see me smiling because I'm happy to come your way once again with what we did last time, the psychological implications of womanhood. Today, we're going to do the psychological implications of manhood. We also want to deal with the men to also help them so that we can also they can also have their share as Wounds of the Heart is concerned. My guest is seated and still waiting for me to just bring him on board to start talking. And I told you last time that it's Slick Afrik Fabric as usual, Slick Afrik. And if you want to comment or send in your questions for a further answers, you can do that on our Facebook page. That is Hope TVGH Facebook, and same at YouTube to Hope TVGH. Please click subscribe to our YouTube page and share. But you can click on the notification button so that whatever we put on page, you'll just have it firsthand. So please don't hesitate to also tell a friend that yes, Wounds of the Heart has started. This afternoon, Slick Afrik, Alpha Art, they are always on point in bringing my face and the face of my guests on flyer, especially Alpha Art. Alpha Art, God bless you for that tremendous work you've been doing for this program. And he's into graphics, any form of graphics, whether being designing whatever. So far as graphics is concerned, he's there. So please just call him on 0551 404 387, and he will just do a good and a neat job for you. Slick Afrik too, the contact is 0557 355 852. Slick Afrik Instagram, Slick Afrik Facebook, Slick Afrik. And they will discuss and talk with you, whatever. And as I said, if you want to sponsor Wounds of the Heart, the number to call is 0559 535554, 0559 535554, and we will be at your doorstep. We will just have a chat with you. I'm just reminding you of that singles retreat that I spoke about last time. It will happen at Anakazo. It's a weekend program from 12th to 14th of November. And we'll come up with a price tag. So don't worry. It's affordable for everyone to be there. And we are trying to make it beautiful for all of us. So far as you are single and you are ready to mingle, if you are single and you want to just hook up with godly people, and just come. Just put the date there somewhere on your calendar, 12th to 14th of November 2021, this year. And before I close, I'll tell you some of the facilitators, and you'll be wowed. Please. We are continuing from where we stopped the other day. We dealt with the women psychological implications of womanhood. Today we are discussing psychological implications of manhood. Doc Newman, good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. So Doc, I'll be very glad that briefly you for the sake of those who are for the first time watching this program, last time you briefly gave us something of mental health. I don't know whether in the jiffy you just
yes.
The four cardinal point of mental health, and Luke chapter 2 verse 52. I like
it. Okay, so when we say health is four-dimensional: physical, mental, social, and spiritual. What we are used to most of the time is physical health. So when someone has a headache or vomiting or bleeding, something, we go to the hospital. But there are three other dimensions which defines your health. It's mental, social, and spiritual. So the four of them together determines people's well-being. And when these four are in harmony, they've developed well. You're able to succeed, you find fulfillment, everything around you actually works well because you're actually, good in all the four. And I said it's even in the Bible. I realized that a lot of things we talk about, you can find it somewhere in the Bible.
Exactly.
So Luke chapter 2 verse 52 says, and Jesus increased in wisdom, that is mental, in stature, that is physical, in favor with God, that is spiritual, in favor with men, that is social. So the reason why Jesus was super successful
Exactly.
is because he was healthy, you know, and he grew in that. So physically people grow, mentally too they grow. The experiences they're having, the information they're having, all the things they're observing in the environment, it's all affecting their mental growth, the quality of their brain and all that, the brain substance itself. Because there's some brain changes that affect people's mental health. You know, it's affecting their mental growth. Socially, we look at our family relationships, we talk about work and work-related problems, finance, talk about tradition, culture, and stuff like that. Then spiritual, all the things we know, even as Christians, in addition to your belief systems, your values, talk about your quest for self-actualization, look at, you know, your connection to God and all that. So there are all kinds of things beyond your physical self. So there are all this is part of your health. And mental health is a major aspect of your health. That if you neglect your mental health, all other areas will suffer. There's even a saying that there's no health without mental health. And that is true.
Exactly.
Everything around us is mental health. You know, and mental health is on 3 levels: how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Your thinking, your feelings, and your behavior. So any thinking, feelings, or behavior that is affecting your life, either causing you some distress or some dysfunction, you're able to function normally because of that, or everything around you is being damaged because of how you think, feel, and behave. And virtually you can't fit in any social space. You know, so mental health is on those 3 levels: your thinking, feelings, and behavior.
Exactly.
And I said that anybody who is mentally healthy, they're supposed to do these things, cope and adjust to situations. Things happen in life.
But Doc, I had a question the other day I couldn't ask about society determining what is right and what is wrong sometimes. For instance, at a certain level in wherever we find ourselves, there are things that are not right. You can't talk to your parent anyhow. A typical Ghanaian society, you can't talk to your parent anyhow. But when you watch those movies, you see how the children are speaking or talking to their parents. You ask yourself, to them, it is not an issue, but here it is something else. You can do that.
No, to them it's an issue, but they won't address it because of all the other symptoms put in place not to address it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, outside the country, if you are rude to your parents, they will tell you you are rude, but the approach may be different.
Okay, so our approach is different.
Our approach is different.
Okay,
and you know, inherent in any man is a code God has put there.
Okay.
To know what is right and what is wrong, what is acceptable and what is not. So you may deny something, but it doesn't mean that deep down you don't know that this one is not okay. Everybody knows. That is why society frowns on a lot of things. They may not accept it, but when you do it, they will frown on it.
Okay. So the mechanism put in place differs from here and there.
Yes,
so
but when you're rude, everybody, even though we are Ghanaian, will tell you you are rude.
Okay.
You know, the way you speak to your parents. They may not like it, but how to address it. Here, you may receive some beatings.
Exactly.
There, when you beat, you actually, you know, they will call 911. You know, you get it. And I say that, you know, physical abuse in itself doesn't help.
It's not the best. Yeah.
But correcting.
Yeah, exactly.
It helps.
Exactly.
Outside the country, correction really is not there. They have ways of trying, but they really abandon a lot of things. That is why they have those problems.
Exactly.
The Ghanaian culture and community, I think, is better.
Sure.
You know, yes, if you compare. So we can't say because they are outside, they are in Europe or in the US or something, they are better than us. No. And sometimes we take everything, you know, they say, you know, and we don't even think about it or evaluate it. And we just do it without even thinking about it. You see? So society actually shapes behaviors. And every society has norms, because when you have too many people, diverse or different kinds of people congregating at a certain point, trying to have some form of interaction, there should be something to actually, you know, check behaviors to be able to progress the society based on shared goals and values. So in Ghana, if you look at Ghana, our cultural systems are not bad. We have some negative cultural practices where everybody knows it's bad and it's changing. But, you know, essentially, the culture of Ghana actually is protective from a lot of things. So you may go to US, you may realize that drug-related problems may be higher than in Ghana because access to drug is there, and things with child and childhood kind of relations is issue. It's not like us as it's here. You know, and there are a lot of people who actually would prefer their kids develop in Ghana than in the US.
We know
but
some people who,
yes, there are people who maybe want to come and marry and go.
Exactly,
you know, because it's not
true.
So behaviors are shaped, and that is what people have to understand, that you just can't get up and do what you like. So far as you're in a certain society, based on some shared goals and values, they put in place norms here and there to actually protect the society from all kinds of things. And the fact that it's coming from the US or Europe doesn't mean that it's correct.
Exactly.
There are a lot of things that come from there which is not.
Exactly.
Right. So when it comes to mental health, people should be able to cope and adjust. If you are mentally healthy, it's easy. You should be able to form relationships. So all relationship issues, conflict, dissatisfaction, it's all under mental health and reflection of people's mental well-being. You know, then also people should be able to live independently. If they are mentally healthy, they should see themselves in a positive light. So self-image problems is under mental health. You know, it's a reflection of mental well-being. Then people who are mentally healthy should be able to dream and achieve those dreams. You know, then their impact on society should be positive. So all these things are a reflection of how healthy their mental well-being is. You know, and usually we make mental health issues a personal issue and not a what do you call it? A health issue, yes.
But Doc, with what you just said, controlling and accepting emotions, coping with it, then which means that when it gets to marriage counseling, premarital counseling, there are things the counselors, if you can't treat, you refer, especially emotional well-being of the person you're going to marry. How can he or she cope when situations abound? What should I do? How should I relate with it? Because a lot of times marriages are collapsing because in the marriage certain things happen and the man just stood up, took the dress and left. The same thing to the woman. There will be chaos, there will be conflict, there will be here and there. But emotionally, or mentally, if they are sound, there are issues that can be addressed in a way that will even not get out from the door of the marriage. So, as a clinical psychologist, what will you say about that in terms of marital and premarital counseling?
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to marriage and premarital issues, you know, it's also on another level, right? Most of the conflicts is because two people who are not meant to be are trying to make it to be. That is the problem. I realize that, you see, when you find your right spouse, actually there are about 9 things that measures compatibility. You know, 9. Right, that measures.
What can I say one day maybe
so that measures compatibility.
Exactly.
You know, marriage is a decision of both the head and the heart. You know, the heart means that you should have genuine love for the person, right? Not based on things, but based on genuine love. Then the head means that there are actual things you must think about to see that whether you are compatible or not, right? Most of the marital conflicts, premarital, post, whatever, is based on compatibility issues.
Okay.
And I've realized that regardless of if you don't marry the right person, no counseling principle will work.
It's true.
It will be difficult.
It's true. It's true.
So the same person who is a thorn in your flesh is someone's, you know, best pal because of agreeableness. Because you have two very unique people trying to make sense out of the same space. You know, so that one too. So, and a lot of marriage counselors should actually dissolve the relationship before it even gets to marriage.
That's all.
That is what marriage counselors don't do.
Most couples also will come with their dates in your hand.
Well, so when you come to me, I'll tell you the truth and tell you that
that's good.
This is what it is. If you choose, these are the consequences. Right? And I think that, you see, we do a lot of people the disservice if we do not tell them the truth before marriage. Because before marriage is easy. When you marry, it becomes more complex to part ways. You see, and a lot of people are better off staying as friends than as spouses.
Beautiful. That is what people should understand.
Yes, because
not all friendship leads into marriage.
Yes, and marriage goes beyond the fact that this person is my friend. You know? and so that is where it's coming from. So
when you're taking me to marriage, I love that part of life. So Doc, that is then, which means that there are a lot of things marriage counselors should be bold enough to let the clients know about it, so that they wouldn't do themselves harm and havoc in marriage.
Yes.
All right, so now we are with the men. Doc, with the mental health issue brief that you gave us, what are some of the common related
Problems.
issues? Yes,
so
manhood.
Like I said the other time, we need to understand that men are men, women are women. And that determination, right, is biological. Because you have a certain genetic code, chromosomal code, right, it determines, you know, who you are and all the changes in your body. The way you do your stuff, your physical development, even your mind, your thinking, how you're able to process events, your likes and dislikes, your ability to actually do things is actually determined because of your genetic code. Men have X and Y chromosomes.
Exactly.
Women have XX. Finish.
That's all.
Right? Regardless of the societal or the social definitions of gender, which makes it highly, you know, fluid, you would have to realize that you are essentially something before you pick on something.
Essentially something
before you pick on something.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You know, the fact that I feel I am something doesn't mean that I am wired for it.
Okay.
So essentially you are a male, but you may feel a certain way based on many reasons. And those reasons does not change who your core self is. You see, and so men are men. And because you're a man, there are all kinds of changes you are going to go through and all kinds of things that can influence your perception about life and how you actually, actually live. There are changes that will happen with you as a man as you grow older. Right? There are things that will happen around you or things that you may go through, even as a man, just because you have an X and Y chromosome.
Exactly.
Finish. And that determination, you know, that understanding will help deal with all kinds of problems that will come up. Let me give you an example. Okay. Women are moved by what? By touch. Okay. They are aroused by touch.
Exactly.
Essentially touch and they are hearing. Those two senses.
Those words.
Men is essentially their sight.
Eyes, vision.
Yes, our sight.
Exactly.
So a man will never miss a woman passing. You won't miss it. The fact that you notice, it's just like a woman, when you touch a woman in certain areas that they are sensitive, they do not determine whether they respond or not. You will respond naturally because of that touch. In the same way, a man is moved by their sight, and they will naturally respond. I think when I was discussing with someone about the fact that, you know, the moment a woman becomes a man, then they will understand why a man will look. You know, sometimes they will say, I didn't when you any. That's why. And I said, so, but the differences amongst men has to do with the fact that it's not every man has trained themselves to respond to what they see.
Exactly.
And that is the difference. Every man will notice, but every man will respond differently. That response is determined by many things. Right? So men are essentially men, and there are changes that comes with their body and their growth. There are changes that happens around them. You know, society determines some of them, responsibilities determine some of them. Their natural, you know, biological, you know, changes actually also predisposes them to all kinds of risks. So let me mention one of them. One is stress.
Okay.
You know, based on responsibilities. Right? Responsibility, societal determined kind of responsibilities puts undue stress on men. So everybody expects you to be the man of the house, the ultimate responsibility. So you have to go bring money and all that. Women work nowadays, right? Expectations are changing. But a woman prefers to spend a man's money. Even if they work, they prefer to spend a man's money.
That should be it, right?
You get it. So the societal, regardless of where you are, the expectations of men, right? You know, the responsibilities of men in this, you know, in this context, actually puts undue stress on men. Just because you are a man, there's a certain determined path for you based on the societal expectations. That is the first one. The second one has to do with the fact that men grow emotionally differently than women. Right? And society actually stifles or stifles men's emotional growth. We don't allow men to express themselves. We don't allow men to seek help when they actually have some emotional problems. And also the way we respond to men. A girl crying is likely to be hugged than a boy crying.
It's true.
Right? You are likely to actually comfort a crying girl than a boy. So men actually grow up with a certain emotional gap, which they are going to use other things to fill. When a woman is emotional, they are likely to talk about it. A man is likely to be quiet about it, and they are likely to use other ways to cope. So substance use and substance abuse becomes critical for men, because a lot of men use those things as a means of coping with what they cannot voice out. So they may get hooked on to alcohol, to cigarette, to hard drugs, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and some other medications, hard drugs, just because that becomes a coping strategy for them. Men are likely to use illicit sex and sex-related stuff as a means to cope with problems, and that is a dysfunctional way of coping, right? Think about it. Even in the Bible, there is this guy. Anytime he pops up, there's some negative person, Samson. Anytime he pops up, the story always ends up in a certain way.
Exactly.
But I started studying Samson carefully. Then I understood why he did some of the things he did. You realize that the assignment of Samson was stress.
Whoa.
It was stress.
Oh.
And when you read Judges chapter 16, the first time the Bible said something about Samson and his love life was around Delilah. It says, and Samson fell in love with Delilah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And when he did that, there was a reason. See, there are three things that actually makes men fulfilled in life. That deals with a lot of their problems. 1, peace. 2, pleasure. 3, support for purpose. When a man is achieving, working, bringing money home, making a certain difference, they find fulfillment. So Samson had that. There were 2 others that he needed, which Delilah provided.
Okay.
That is peace and pleasure. And we actually know that, from the Bible. They cut his hair.
Exactly.
The locks, in the Bible says 7 locks.
Exactly.
They held it one by one. They cut it. The guy they didn't hear.
Because.
And the Bible was clear why. It says, and Samson was lying on the laps of Delilah. You see, the laps of a woman represents 2 things, peace and pleasure.
Exactly.
And he was ready to trade his anointing for that.
Yeah.
You see, so you've got to understand that, men can use, pleasure as a way to actually cope and adjust to things. But that may be dysfunctional. So you may find men getting involved in things that are more pleasurable. So they use substances, they may use friendships, they may use sex and stuff like that, actually as a dysfunctional way of coping with life stresses and problems. The next thing has to do with, identity problems. A lot of men who have gone through some kind of traumatic childhood experience may actually look down on themselves and may not be able to perform the way they perform just because of that. It is also a major thing amongst men. Girls may talk about it, but guys may not. Another thing too is abuse, physical, verbal, emotional, sexual abuse. In most societies, a girl may hit the bump of a man, and that is normal.
That's normal.
A guy does the same, and that is a problem. A random girl may give a peg on a guy's cheek, and that is normal, and that is cool in society. But when a guy does that, that becomes something else. And imagine a guy being abused, sexually, and he goes to the police station and said, a girl raped me.
That's true.
I'm sure the police may ask, who did that? Can a girl come and rape me? There are all kinds of things when it comes to these things. So a lot of men are quiet. A lot of men are going through some physical abuse. I think the stats may show 1 in 8, guys are at the physical, some form of abuse. I've forgotten the figures, but it's around that. So abuse is also in men. And I think the last time we mentioned it, men die more from suicide than men. Exactly. That suicide becomes the second most important cause of death amongst younger men.
Exactly.
Suicide. Important cause of death. Women attempt more, men die more because of all the issues we talked about. The fact that they don't seek help, they don't talk about their issues. The fact that mental health services amongst men is really down, and the fact that they use more lethal means to kill themselves. So if you take road traffic accidents and take accidents, which is the one leading cause of death, especially amongst younger men. If you look at cardiovascular problems, which is also there, you realize that suicide becomes important. Homicide also becomes important. Like a man killing another man or someone killing a man becomes important causes of death even amongst men. Especially young men. So a lot of young men are dying through preventable means, which has major psychological, or mental health implications. And if you look all over the world, in health interventions, mental health, physical health, the focus more is on women than men.
Than men, yeah.
So there's a huge gap. Last week I was in a certain show talking about boys. Like now every focus is on girls, but who is raising these boys to handle these girls?
No one is doing that.
And that is creating a big problem.
No one is doing that.
There was a need for a certain move to actually help deal with women-related problems. That move was a very, very good move, right? To actually deal with societal issues that was suppressing women and causing problems amongst women. But when that move started, right, others also took it in a certain negative light in order to suppress men. And when that suppression goes on for a long time, a time will come there will be another move for men to suppress women. But there should be a movement to liberate every sex from things that we know societally or we know that would actually harm generations and society. So we need that. So when it comes to emotional development in men, there's also a big problem there. And when it comes to risky, what do you call it, jobs and stuff like that, men are likely to find themselves there. And when you look at all the unhealthy lifestyle with smoking, alcohol and all that, it predisposes them to actually infections here and there, poses them to cardiovascular problems and stroke and all that. So life expectancy amongst men is even shorter than women. Men die earlier than women because of all these reasons.
Last time you made reference to menopause, but with men.
Yes, so I'm coming to that. So andropause.
Okay.
When hormonal changes are happening in women, men towards the age, hormonal changes, and even after 50, we find about 30% of men actually tipping down, because of reduction in production of testosterone and all that. And
tipping down. What do you mean by tipping down?
It means that the levels reduce.
Okay.
What makes men testosterone? Is the primary hormone that makes men. All the secondary sexual characteristics and the manly figure. It's because of a chemical called testosterone, right? And after a certain age, it begins after 30, it starts going down, And some may significantly reduce even after 50. More than 30% of men will find theirs reducing significantly after 50. And because of that, you realize they lose all their male kind of, characteristics. It reduces, and they are predisposed to all kinds of problems. All their sexual desires and performance and everything will start even going down. Then I forgot to talk about infertility. Amongst men, it's a major problem where the manliness of a man is reduced to the thing down there. And you are defined by what is in between your legs. That is also problematic, and that is even forcing a lot of men from coming to the hospital when there's infertility issues, just because they will be defined by that. So it is one of the reasons why, because it breaks a man for him to go to also to say that infertility is from you. Not because he's a man, but because of societal perception and definition of who a man should be. Your performance in bed is your definition. Your ability to make babies is your definition. And that puts undue stress and pressure on men, and they are doing all kinds of things to themselves just because of that. So infertility issues to become a major problem, and also socio-economic and financial problems. It's a major issue that creates all kinds of problems amongst men. So men may have to be involved in all kinds of crime-related problems just to put food on the table, especially if they are not empowered enough to actually do things that are very legal. you know. So when there are financial challenges, you really don't look at the woman, you look at the men. When there are work-related problems, you don't really look at the woman, you look at the men. You know, the ultimate responsibility of the home, you know, is on the man. You know, but in some societies, women are even doing more, you know, even than the man. But if you look at perceptions all over, you realize that the man becomes the ultimate responsibility of most of these responsibilities at home. You see, so all these plus prostate issues, you know, cancer of the prostate, and primarily even lung cancers and lung-related problems because of the alcohol and work-related things that exposes people to lung-related problems. Those who work in cement factories, you know, those who do slates and all that,
metallic,
you know, all that, it increases lung-related problems and prostate-related problems, you know, and all that. And even I think 3% of breast cancers are in men also. I've forgotten the figure. You know, so far as men have breasts, you know, and so they are also.
But there's no breast milk in.
No. So breast cancer is not just about the tissue itself.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
It causes problems.
Oh, okay.
You know, so you have all these problems happening with men.
Prostrates are.
Yes, and cardiovascular diseases and the stroke related to that, and its own psychosocial problems. You know, cardiovascular problems, you know, hypertension, and with you know, hormonal issues, with, you know, diabetes and all that. You know, with insulin and all that, they are all, you know, the chronic illnesses in men. There's an associated anxiety, depression. There are associated, you know, the stresses in managing it, and neurocognitive change. If you have stroke, right, there are all kinds of neurocognitive changes with stroke, with your memory, with judgment, with your spatial problems, you know, with attention deficits here and there, personality change. So it is huge. You know, when it comes to men-related problems too, you know.
But menopause and andropause, right? I have a question there. Do you have a pre-menopause or andropause?
Yeah. So when anybody is going through that, for example, if you're a woman and you are getting towards menopause, you may see all these menopausal changes, but they're milder form, and your menses may not be coming the way it's supposed to be coming. Right, reduce quantity, the frequency and stuff may reduce and all that. And you may start seeing some subtle, you know, symptoms here and there. But when you don't have your menses for, what do you call it, consistently or consecutively for about 12 months, then we can actually give a definition of menopause and stuff like that. You know, so people may have those symptoms and changes that should tell you that they are nearing menopause or andropause. All the changes that, you know, comes up.
But Doc, can the way we live, food, drugs, causes
Yes, so diet influences health states significantly, and even your social interactions and healthy lifestyle changes, you know, and things that people do in terms of their lifestyle. It all has influence on these things, you know, and even aging. Realize that aging, it's a whole thing, right? If you have a very healthy lifestyle, though you are aging in terms of age, but physical changes may not be. You may see someone who is 50 but looks like someone who is in their 30s because they're actually taking care of themselves well. One of the things that actually, you know, influences age negatively is stress. You know, stress and drug-related problems. If you smoke and drink, it actually affects aging significantly. And stress, you know, those who are always stressed, they age faster, they gray faster. Their facial changes and
very
stuff
soon
also.
You see gray hair.
Their facial changes here and there also, you know, it's affected here and there because of that. You know, so it's very, very huge when it comes to men and men-related problems.
So with the we are still, viewers, in case you just joined us, there are things that sometimes you see I'm kind of emotional when I'm listening to, because I'm a man, you know, and probably you're also a man, you have a father, uncle, brother, and there are things we need to know, we need to learn. There are issues around us that if care is not taken and we think we compromise, at the end of the day, it might get us away from our normal selves. And we know that when we get to the latter part, he will tell us what we, the men, should do so that we wouldn't find ourselves in situations whereby mentally will never be stable, that people probably may mock and stigma here and there in offices or in your church or wherever you find yourself. And the program is Wounds of the Heart. We're discussing the psychological implications of manhood, and we know who a man is, irrespective of the societal twist. We know who a man is, and we've spoken about how the causes. We've spoken about the risk factors. We've spoken about how the men behave, responsibility when it comes to work, when it comes to social expectations here and there. And he always says something that men, we normally doesn't report issues like that to the appropriate quarters. We quell in. We are ourselves because we are the men, and it's not our doing though. It's not our fault. When we were dealing with the women issue, we said that society had made it so that so men, it is difficult for us to come out or say certain things if there are issues going on with us. So Wounds of the Heart had made it possible for us to learn certain things, so that at least you should know some of the signs and some of the symptoms, or if certain things are happening, you know what to do and where to go. And it is also important for us to also be educated in that area. But in the menopause, you spoke about hot flashes. But with men, what?
Oh, they also have that.
And what is that? What the hot flashes? What happens to that? What?
No, so all those hormonal changes in the body, right? So physiologically, there are changes with your metabolism and all that, and so those things are responsible for the quality of your life is determined by how do I even say it? All the hormonal changes, so if you have enough testosterone, it maintains a certain physiological function of the body. Your estrogen and progesterone, for women, maintains a certain, quality, like your bone mass and all that, and metabolism and all that. So all those changes is responsible for those symptoms.
Okay. But I normally hear, or I don't know whether you also do that, that when somebody menopause or casadodo, menopause or menopause, it has turned that person into talking, and sometimes people walk and they fall. Some can't stand. They relate that into menopause or andropause.
So the changes. So I was saying that. So they are physiological, they are physical changes. Okay. Like they may have bone problems. Okay. That may affect their movement here and there. And as people age, bone mass and stuff actually becomes problematic. So one of the major things that affects elderly people is the fact that they fall and they break their bones, because the bone becomes a bit brittle, right? Because of all those changes that are happening. But when coming with all those hormonal changes, also some psychological changes, right? They become more irritable. They have mood swings here and there. In your casadodo.
Now it's okay.
And they become more irritable. So irritability. So they have to actually talk about everything, because it's just like, for example, you're actually not happy with a lot of things around you.
Definitely.
Maybe you are anxious or you are stressed about things.
Definitely.
And you come to work and people are also misbehave. You will talk just because you're irritable. So so you put it in that sense.
Exactly.
That when they go into that state, they become more irritable because of all the changes. They become moody. Even depression is higher amongst them and stuff like that.
It's funny. Right? They will tell you as young as you are, your grandchildren wouldn't stay with you, kind of stuff, because there are changes. So
people, elderly people use those social interactions to cope with life.
Okay.
Because around that time, they need a lot of social interaction to actually feel life worth living.
Okay.
Right. So if you have elderly people who have people around them all the time, they age gracefully.
Okay.
And they live longer.
Okay.
But social isolation for elderly is very, very critical for them.
My mom got sick, and when her grandchildren came to her, she said, also if I've been seeing them all the I'm coming home to that.
So social interaction.
Grandpas and grandmoms always want their grandchildren around them.
Social interaction
talking plenty, but
major. It's major for elderly people.
Okay. So let's start pushing our grandchildren to their grandparents, because even the talking alone, the hey here alone keeps them up, and it's amazing. That's how it's like. But you see, we need to appreciate God, and we need to appreciate our existence. As you're saying, let me go spiritual kakra here. we start from a semen or a sperm entering into the egg, creating a blood clot. Then we become human here. 9 months we come out. We start going through all those transitions, and you grow. And after grow, when in the you have strength to work, and at a point in time, it is like the mountain. You start descending. If you don't have God to climb, and you get to the peak and you're descending, you might not have God to descend with. I don't know if people understand what I'm saying. If you grow and you don't grow with God, and all these hormonal changes start setting, it is very difficult for the person to even know God, because if yours is affected mentally and you don't have straight mind to hold on to the gospel, to understand God at your younger peak, when you grow to a certain level and menopause or andropause setting, it's going to be very difficult for that person, if his or hers go in the mental way that becomes irritative or wouldn't even accept things just as the way people will accept it, then spiritual, that person would have issue. I'm moving from your psychological point of view and your doctoral point of view to that of spiritual point of view, to the extent that if you should know God in your early stages, when you grow, He is with you. But if you don't know God in your early stages, when you grow, you might think it's a storybook. You might think, that's why I said in our youthful days, we need to attach. So Paul told Timothy that as he is young, he should utilize his level in life, so that no one can deceive or to put his young adult away. He needs to accept it and understand it. I'm trying to make this point that as we educate people, as we speak to people, clinical psychologists here and there, we need to add that spiritual aspect. You said the four cardinal point, the Christ, the last one, the spiritual aspect. We need to add it too. It shouldn't be the normal psychology. You can't mental, you can't psychological, you can't social. But what happens to spiritual level when we are dealing with issues like that? I think that before we end, you need to touch on that aspect for my viewers to also know where the spirituality comes in as we talk. So with men, with the women, we spoke about the psychological issues, that stress, anxiety. But how does the psychotic works with men? What are some of the things that?
So all the things I've said, like for women, is virtually the same. Mm-hmm. The stress. Mm-hmm. Being a man is stress. Yes, and
the head of the house.
Yes,
you know?
It's stress. A lot of women don't know what men have to go to actually get that money.
Challenges.
Because a lot of men don't actually talk about it.
No, why would we talk about it?
Yes. So, imagine someone is a mason. Has to go dig. Carry. And maybe at the end of the month, they pay him 500 cedis and he comes. And probably it may not be enough, and the woman doesn't really respect it. It's a lot of effort, So stress, it's stressful to be a man. It's very, very stressful to be a man. Women have their own stresses, we won't deny that, and society has a way of acknowledging that. Men have their own stresses, and it's very, very huge significant, Then also anxiety about everything, because virtually in many families, the buck stops with the father. Anxiety about the outcomes of life, the future, what will happen next month. Can keep a lot of people in a certain heightened state all the time. Then if they're able to handle their depression and anxiety well, their anxiety and stresses well, they may go into some form of depression. Then I spoke about drug-related problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, people use drugs and stuff to actually cope with life situations. Illicit sex. I know someone who lost his job, lost his wife, lost his kids, lost his wife through divorce, lost his properties, and now he wants to drink and die. That's a doctor. Because I know I'm born again, but your friend said, "Into me, heaven." That's what he said. He said he wants to just drink and die because he was going through a very, very traumatic time. Right, so people actually use drug-related problems, illicit sex, and alcohol and stuff to actually cope with life situations. So drugs and substance use is a major risk factor, you know, for mental health problems in men. Then we talk about psychotic problems. It's higher in men. One, because of also substance-related problems and some genetic problems. You know, so substance use, you know, marijuana and all those things, are a major risk factor for psychotic problems. You know, so that is also very significant in men. So you may have more men being mad than women. So psychotic problems even higher with men. Then we also talk about suicide. I think I've talked about suicide.
Yeah, exactly.
Suicide is one of the most important causes of death amongst men, even 4 times more than women.
Charlie.
You know, and that is very, very significant. You know, then we talked about abuse and how we actually handle abuse.
But men, you're making emphasis on how men we respond to abuse. For a man, it's now they are saying the percentage is also increasing a little bit. Men reporting abuse by women. And for instance, some constable or corporal at the cell, also whatever, and this nice-looking gentleman, bulky man, walks into and says, "I have an issue." And what is the issue? My wife is beating me. Like my wife is abusing me. In which way? Physical abuse. If the woman is the one in reporting, definitely there will be a sad sort of a laughter or something.
They'll go right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So men don't do, but in this case, Doc, how should we men, deal with such issues? With all this thing, but emphasize a little bit on how now we are in it. Your wife is beating you, your wife is molesting you, you are in it. How do we deal with it?
Yes. So abuse, there are ways that we actually deal with abuse, right? First of all, you need to recognize that abuse is a health issue, right? Which has some moral extensions and legal extensions. So the same way you approach health issues, when you have hypertension, malaria, where do you go? Go to hospital to seek help.
Okay.
So in the same way, you need to see abuse as a health issue, so that you can go to the right place for help. So first point of call, you go to the hospital. You want to see a mental health worker. They know what to do. They would actually assess the situation, know where it is coming from, and initiate certain steps to be able to deal with it. You know, so you actually have to recognize that abuse is a health issue, and you need, you know, some kind of health approach to be able to deal with it. You know, when they look at the issues, then they will know which angle to actually take to be able to deal with the abuse. You know, if there are some legal implications, they will have to initiate that process. You know, if there are some triggers in the home that is, you know, responsible for the multiple abuses, we need to be able to deal with that. You know, if there should be some separation in the marriage, we need to be able to do that. Because usually you don't deal with abuse in an abusive environment. It will make it worse.
Okay.
You know, and people are trapped in an abusive relationship because it's more like a cycle. There's a trigger.
There's a trigger.
Abuse, tension builds up, abuse continues. Apology comes in, everything is fine, and it happens again. So usually don't deal with abuse in an abusive environment. You know, so depending on what the issues are, the approach is quite different. And like I said, for the women, we need a total, you know, mindset shift. You know, attitudinal shift and mind shift when it comes to how we see mental health issues. It's not just someone lying on the street mad. No, but mental health issues goes beyond that. There are all kinds of issues relating to how you think, feel, and behave. That is under mental health. So you go to the hospital. Stigmatization of mental health issues. Last week I said in Ghanaian movies, you know, the outcome of every bad behavior is a mental illness.
But TSC Jones is here.
Especially when we assign religious and moral interpretations to mental health issues. You know, when people have hypertension, they go to hospital. But when they have some depression or something, they don't think it's hospital. You know, it's just an aspect of health. One is more physical, one is more mental. On the national level, we need to be able to increase access to affordable mental health care and pass policies to actually help. We need to decriminalize attempted suicide.
My guest who came, Dr. Otubodi, I asked her the same question, that why is it that when somebody is about commit suicide, you guys, he or she is, according to the laws of Ghana, it's a criminal offense. We understand, but from your perspective, the person is suffering. The person, no one will just hang himself for any reason. There might be a base, there might be a bottom point that we should go there rather to help the person. For instance, I met this woman who we had a call that she wanted to end her life. We tried, we went there. From all that she was saying, money, there was work related. So myself and a colleague, we just, whatever was we were having, we gave it out. The next time we heard that she's fine. She's now on better and nothing of such, and she was laughing. She's fine, back to herself again. So if we could have, we could have sent the police there that he tried committing suicide. She tried committing suicide, so she should be arrested. And yeah, what happens then?
Well, I think that the law, there is some wisdom in every law that is passed, but those things must be subject to current findings.
Exactly.
So, for example, maybe they pass that law one so that it will be deterrent to like people. That if you know that if you try, you may go to jail. So, it's possible a lot of people may have decided not to try it, just because of that law. Two, it may be because of, what do you call it? The fact that your life is not yours. It's for the state. You can't just do anything. Yeah, I understand. But your death is not just for you.
For you, it's a whole lot, yeah.
So there may be some kind of wisdom around it. But for current findings, we know the majority of the people who even attempt suicide, have depression. We know. Exactly. And it's a man. So attempting suicide is a psychological emergency. The same way heart attack is a medical emergency. Finish. So if someone who is having a heart attack, you can't say we are putting you in prison. You can also put someone who is attempting suicide in prison. So now there is new knowledge. Even those who, British, we borrowed a lot of things from, they maybe changed their laws about these things. So maybe there's some wisdom with the law, but with current findings, we know that people who are attempting suicide, they actually need help. And when they receive the right help, they actually do better. But suicide is a very, very important cause of death amongst men. Exactly. If you take road traffic accidents and other accidents, the next thing that is so important has to do with suicide. Then homicide also comes up. But cardiovascular disease and stuff, generally sits on top of that. But when it comes to young people and stuff, these three is very important cause of death.
All right. So we are learning. I hope that you have taken a lot of notes, and you're probably rewatching this program because you need to. If you skip certain things, you need to go back and just see and hear what happens. Doc, before we wrap up, what role can spirituality play when it comes to such issues, both male and female, womanhood and manhood? Okay,
so we would have to understand that health is four-dimensional. Physical, mental, social, and spiritual. In healthcare settings, we have agreed and we know that spirituality is part of health. Spirituality is part of health. So now there's even promotion of spirituality in medical school amongst medical health practitioners and stuff like that. The problem is how we define what spirituality is and the influence of religion in spirituality. So religion may encompass things like rites and practices and things like that. Spirituality may go beyond that, looking at the person's well-being, looking at the person's connection to a higher power. Most of us as a higher power is God, and the person's feeling of interconnectedness and quest for self-actualization, a person's belief systems. It's quite broad, right? So we have to realize that every illness on earth, every illness, whether mental, physical, these four levels interact to cause problems. Let me give you an example. If you think your leg is swollen because in the night, some people use your leg for football, no problem. No problem. But the leg that is swollen and is painful, isn't it physical?
It's physical.
It's physical. It's physical. Yeah. In addition to that, you may be afraid. You may be anxious. Maybe even be depressed because what's happening. That is what? Mental. In addition to that, your home interactions will be down. Definitely. You may not be able to go to work, able to go for this part. What is that? It is social.
Exactly.
So what do you think is spiritual is what? has dimensions.
Mental, social.
Yes. Look, mention any disease.
Exactly.
So there is no disease on earth which is purely physical, which is purely mental, which is purely spiritual, which is purely social, because all of them work together. That is why now we use a holistic approach to managing problems. Holistic means that we use multiple approaches on the level of physical, mental, social, and spiritual together to actually fix problems. Because one approach is not effective.
Exactly.
Combination of approaches is what is effective.
Wonderful.
You know. So whatever you believe in, I have a problem when you are dying and you are still holding on to what you believe in, but you are dying instead of seeking help. If you had gone to the hospital straight away, you may be alive, right? So pastors must be referring to the hospital. Hospitals must be referring to pastors. You know, both counselors must be involved. Multidisciplinary. Everybody, we need everybody. That healthy collaboration to be able to holistically manage problems.
To be able to holistically manage problems. That is Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur. He has been on my program. This is the third appearance, and he promised me whenever he has the time, he will try to come and help educate the public or the viewers on any mental issue or psychological issue that, or medical sometimes, because that is his field. He's a medical doctor. He's also a health psychologist, a clinical health psychologist. So the first time I asked him this question, and he told me so now if this man stands in front of you, or when you sit, when he is in consultation, then you should understand that the general practitioner will get a pay, but he will add on, because in as much as they learn psychology as part of their course, he has gone to do clinical psychology just to add on to his medical practitioner, and we thank God for his life. And as I said, that Doc, where are you? If somebody wants you, what happens?
Okay, so I work at University of Professional Studies. Okay, I have a clinic. Yeah. But if you also want to reach me, 0249 802 500.
0249
802 500.
500.
So usually people should WhatsApp, I'll respond.
Oh, okay. I know I can. So I wouldn't say that. So usually people you WhatsApp and he'll respond. So Doc, God bless you for your time.
You.
And viewers, once again, let me appreciate Slick Afrik. Let me appreciate Alpha Art. Let me appreciate you, the viewer, who has been so helpful of this program. Without you, this program will never be a success. Every blessed day, you guys watching, every Wednesday, you are tuning into Hope TV, because we are always changing lives and making sure that we hope the wounds of the heart come to your doorsteps on your phone and any gadget that you use in watching. I said that the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Legon District, under the Department of Family Life, we are organizing a big-time program for the singles. If you're single out there, you are organizing a program for all singles, 12th to 14th day of November at Anakazo, somewhere in the Ebri to there. But the price tag will come out very soon. But I'm telling you that if you want a place to connect with godly men and women, if you want to learn more, because we have people like a retired minister, Barrington Brehan. He is not in Ghana, he is in Bahamas, but he will join us via Zoom to just tell us. And this man, I want you to go to just Google his name. The articles about relationship, you just open your mouth, and we're going to have this man to share experiences, to educate us on some topics. The topic is, am I ready to say yes, I do? I think that you want to listen about it, and so that you can be focused in accepting to walk on an aisle with that man or that woman. And we have Dr. Mrs. Stella Irene Ejenim-Boateng. He will talk about personal grooming, and Dr. Pascal Brenya will also be present to deal with when it comes to finance and how best we can also do ourselves well to meet our future husband or wife. So this program, and there are also other fun aspects when it comes to this program. I'm sure you don't want to miss it. Mark it on your calendar, 12th, 13th, 14th November 2021 at Anakazo. It's going to be a wonderful program. Please, you don't want to miss it. And it's singles, hopeful, 2021, and it will be a wonderful program. So I want to see you there if you're single. It's not for married couples, it's for single who are ready to mingle. May God bless you. It has been a wonderful program, Wounds of the Heart. Dr. Isaac Arthur Newman, God bless you for your time.
Thank you.
And I really want to have you once again because of your time, and I thank God for you too. I have been your regular host, and the name is Pastor Daniel Abedu Bidiaba. I'm out.